Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF. Bava Metzia DAF Chav Ches. We are holding 8 lines off the top of the Amud Amarav. We had a question yesterday. How do we treat simonin, this concept of returning a lost item by way of its owner, providing identifying marks, distinctive features, in order to claim ownership and confirm ownership and have us return it to him? So this concept of simon, is it min ha-Torah? Is it sourced in a pasuk? Is it min ha-Torah or only midrabanan? Rabbi tells us yesterday that he concludes simanan min ha-Torah, and it's based on a pasuk. You meant to investigate your brother, the fellow who's claiming it, and figure out if in fact he's the owner. And that proves to us that the Torah is instructing us to verify ownership by way of simanin. Comes Rava today and he says, Amar Rava im timtza loymar simanin daraisa, if in fact you will conclude as such that returning an item by way of providing simanin is in fact rooted in the Torah, then etc., etc. Okay, so we sort of cut him off right in the middle. What do you mean im timtza loymar? Ha-pashat le simanin daraisa. Rav himself just concluded for us that in fact it's min ha-Torah. What do you mean if it is? As if it's an uncertainty. Well, mishum de'ika l'mei mekadesh aninan. Because the truth is that there is another way to interpret that pasuk that Rav brought. Perhaps you'll verify and confirm ownership by way of bringing witnesses that in fact this item belongs to him. How do we know the pasuk speaking about simply providing identifying marks, simanin? So there's a way around it, right? There's an alternate pshat to the pasuk, and therefore Rava, although he himself concluded that simanin is min ha-Torah, he figured that was a fait accompli, but he's sort of proposing it in a inconclusive manner because there is another way to learn. In any case, the point is like this: even if you say the chiddush is, even if you say simanin is a great form of confirming ownership, right? Nevertheless, there is a better way of verification, which is edim. And therefore, let's say there's a conflict, right? You call out an item and 2 fellows show up, both claiming ownership. Reuven says, I'll give you simanin. And he's opposed by Shimon, this simanin, who has simanin as well. Yaniach. You're stuck. You just put it aside until Eliyahu Navi comes and verifies the owner. Simanin ve'edim. Reuben has simanin, Shimon has edim that it's his. So although we're going with the premise that simanin is min ha-Torah, but still edim are better. And therefore, in this case, in the Baal edim, you give it to Shimon who brought edim. Simanin ve'simanin ve'ed echad. We're going to go through different types of variation, different types of conflicting cases. So you have Reuven bringing simanin. Shimon has simanin as well, ve'ed echad, plus 1 single witness on his side, who's testifying that he is the owner. Right? Do we give him an advantage? Does he have an advantage over Reuven, who only has simanin? The answer is no. Eid echad kemanda l'sedami. A single aid in this kind of monetary context is basically not worth much. And therefore, we ignore the aid. So that leaves us with simanin versus simanin v'yaniach, and you leave it aside until Eliyahu Navi. Reuven brings eidei ariga, edim that he wove, this jacket. Okay, so he produced it. Ve'eidei nefila, and Shimon brings edim that he dropped it. Okay, who's the owner? Tinasein leidei nefila. Of course, you give it to Shimon, who dropped it. Because we can say, Zabuni Zavna, sure, Reuven produced it, but he sold it. Umei inish achrin nafal, and it fell from the other fellow, Shimon. It belongs to him. So it's a greater form of verification, right? The eidei nefila. Midas orkoi, let's say, we're speaking about like a talus. Basically, they used to take this long, garment and wrap themselves, right? So you would see, if you're watching the person dressed in this thing, you would see the width But you wouldn't see the length because that's wrapped around. So Reuven is offering midas arke. I'll tell you how long the talus is. Umidas rochbe. Shimon is providing the width. Who do you give it to? Which is a greater form of verification, right? Which is more of a precise description which denotes ownership. Tinasan midas arke. You give it to Reuven, who's speaking about the length. You know why? The midas rochbe, because Shimon is providing the width. Shiurika misharla. It's very likely that it's a takeoff. He noticed the width when the owner, Reuven, was wearing it, because the width is visible and evident. That doesn't say much about ownership. When the owner was wearing it. But the length is not something you can just guess. That you can't just guess by watching the owner wearing it. So providing that information is a strong siman. Next case. Reuven has midas arkoy, midas rachbay. Reuven says, look, it's 8 feet long, 5 feet wide. Okay, so he's giving detailed information. Both dimensions separately. Umidas gamov. Gamov, Rashi says there's a letter in Greek called a gam. It's like a long chaf. Right? So Shimon, he only knows the total. He knows the width and the length in total. Right? So as Reuven speaks about the length being 10 feet, the width 5, and Shimon says the total dimension of length and width is 15. Who's providing more accurate information? Reuven is, right? Because he's detailing it. He's separating the dimensions, which is more detailed. Midas arkai umidas rachbay. Suppose Reuven has the length and the width separately. Umidas mishkalosav. Shimon has the weight. Very, very precise type of number. The weight, right? You're not saying the midas mishkalosav. Shimon wins because that's a pretty distinctive type of number, the weight. So that denotes very intricate familiarity with the item, and therefore he's presumed to be the owner. Now, regarding a question of get ownership, right? You found the get in the street, divorce document. The owner, the husband claims to be the owner. I never issued it, and the wife says, "I got it already. It's mine. I dropped it." And they both have some information, both describing the get. Hu aimer simoni haget. V'hi aimer simoni haget. Both the husband and wife are providing simonim. You're not saying, no, you give it to her because how else would she have the simanim if not for the fact that the get had been issued to her? He of course knows the simanim because he wrote the get, but the fact that she's giving the simanim indicates that it was already given to her. Now, b'mai, what type of features are they speaking? What type of simanim? Perhaps we're speaking about the dimensions, length and the width of the document. What is that? How does that prove that it's hers? Perhaps she simply noticed him holding it and picked up its dimensions like that. That doesn't show much. Rather, she's providing information about a hole, a little pinhole, near the nun in the get. So that's a pretty specific feature which she wouldn't know unless it was actually issued to her. The husband provides some sort of identifying feature of the ribbon which was wrapped around the get, and she as well is providing that siman. Who do you give it to? He doesn't know she gets it. B'mai. What type of siman on the chut are we speaking? It's color, it's white, it's red. How does that show that she perhaps she noticed the husband holding it, so she now knows the color? It doesn't mean anything. Rather, she's providing the length. She says the ribbon is 6 feet long. That's something she would only know if she had it. Husband claims that the get was found in this leather pouch. his leather pouch, right? And she likewise is claiming it was found in the leather pouch. Who wins? He gets it. You know why? My time, I made the other. She knows that all his belongings go straight into this leather pouch. So providing that information does not denote ownership on her part, and therefore she doesn't get it. Okay, so we speak about calling out and seeking the owner, who hopefully will provide a siman. Va'ad mosai chayav lahachroz, says the Mishnah. I mean, what's the duration of this hachraza? How far do you have to go? How long do you have to keep on calling out? Ad kadei sheyedu b'shchena, until the neighbors know about it. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda shalosh regalim. It's longer than that. You have to wait almost a full year. 3 yamim tovim. Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot, right? Va'achar regal ha'achron shiva yamim. Plus 7 days. Why? Kadei sheyelech lebeis shleisha, so that the fellow who's now Yerushalayim, who got wind of this item that was found, has to first go home and examine his belongings to see if it's missing. It takes him 3 days to get home. V'yasr shleisha. It takes him 3 days to return. V'yachar yom echad. And on day 7, he calls out and he tries to find the fellow who has his item. Rabbi Meir says the neighbors have to know. Which neighbors? Tana, we learned in the Brisa, Shcheni Aveda. The neighbors of the lost item. What does that mean? My Shcheni Aveda. You have to make sure that the neighbors of the owner of the lost item find out about it. What do you mean? If you know who the if you know the owner, then go tell him directly. Go give it back to him. Right? You have to ensure that the neighbors around where the item was found, they're notified. This way, friend tells a friend, and hopefully the fellow will show up. Rabbi Yehuda, you need 3 yamim tovim plus 7 days to allow for that, return trip, 3 days to and 3 days back. Now the question is, 3 days is not enough to get to the outer boundaries of the Jewish residential areas around Eretz Yisrael. It takes way more than that. It takes 7 days per way. We have a mission in Mesachas Tanis. When do we begin asking Hashem, V'sein talamata for rain? On the 3rd of Cheshvan. Rabbi Gamliel, no, that's too soon. The Yidden are still traveling back home from Eile Regel. B'zayin ba, you have to wait 7 into Cheshvan. Which is 15 days after Sukkot. Why? It takes 15 days to get back home. To allow the last traveler who lives all the way out by Nahar Paras to get home takes 15 days. And here we're saying we give you merely 3 days. Depends at what point in history. How far the Jewish communities were dispersed, was spread out. Kan b'migdash rishon, kan b'migdash sheni. During the first Beis HaMikdash, it was very different. The Yidden lived much further than during the second Beis HaMikdash. B'migdash rishon d'nefish Yisrael tuva, during the first Beis HaMikdash, where the Jewish community, when the Jewish community was much greater in number and lived much further out. As the pasuk describes them, Yehuda v'Yisrael, Rabim kachoil, Asher alayam l'roiv. Right, they were as much as the sand at the beach. Right, so then ba'inan kulihai, there you need 15 days to reach the outskirts of the Jewish residential areas. B'migdash sheni, however, during the second Beis HaMikdash, where the community was much smaller in number. The Nefishi Yisrael Tuva, very small community. The pasuk says was just 40,000 people. Kalakol ke'echad arba ribu. That's it. 40,000 alpayim plus 2,000 shlosh meis v'shishim. So they lived more or less closer by. Loi ba'inan kulihai. We don't need more than 3 days. Amali Abai. What do you mean? But they still lived all around. V'oksiv v'yeshvu kahanim alavim asherim v'chol Yisrael bareim. They lived all around the country. And if anything, says Abaye, it should go the other way around. Since they were small in number, but nevertheless dispersed to the 4 corners of the country, if anything goes the other way, if anything, during Migdash Sheni, when the crowd was smaller, it takes longer for news to travel, right? Migdash Rishon, you see, during the first Beis HaMikdash, where there were these multitudes of Yidden, the Nefishi Yisrael Tuva, and therefore there were groups, the Mitzaves Alma, there were groups of people traveling together, associating with each other, meeting each other all the time, and you have these caravans traveling all the time, non-stop traffic back and forth, the Azli ben Mimama or ben Bilal, who traveled non-stop by day and by night. So in that case, you don't need much time for the news to travel to the outermost rims of the Jewish living areas. 3 days is enough. But Migdash Sheni, during the second Beis Hamikdash, the Lo Nefishi Yisrael Tuva, there weren't many Yidden. V'lo Mitzavas Alma, and therefore they were not so close knit. They were more dispersed. V'lo Mishtaki Shayrasa, the Azli ben Mimama ben Bilal. You don't have these non-stop travel groups traveling all the time. So there, it takes way longer for news to travel. Be'inan Kuliyah, you need 15 days. Now Taisus asks the kasha, if the whole point is that here they travel 24 hours and there they only travel during daytime, so they're basically if it takes 15 days, right, for day travel, then it should take 7.5 if you're traveling full time. How could we say 3 days is enough? Stasis says, the truth is that 3 days of non-stop travel is enough, but still you need 15 days of day travel, because he says, since you're not going to travel at night, the whole system is inefficient and much slower moving because you're looking for hotels to stay by and you're not really maximizing your time, therefore it takes more than twice the amount of time. Okay. So bottom line, why does Rabbi Yehuda say in the Mishnah you have to linger 7 more days after the Yom Tov? That's to get the owner a chance to go home and come back. Rabba Amar Lo Yishna Migdash Rishon Lo Yishna Migdash Sheni. Although the Mishnah Tanis tells us that you need 15 days to get home and all that, which Abai explained to be going on the Migdash Sheni, right? Rabbi said it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Migdash Rishon, Migdash Sheni. The truth is that perhaps you should give them more time, but Rabbanan did not want to burden the finder to have to stick around 15, 20 days. So they just set a deadline, 7 days, that's a reasonable amount of time, and that's it. The fact that 7 days is enough leads us to the following conclusion. When a finder announces a lost item, he actually describes the item. I found a garment. Because if in fact he's not describing, he's just saying, look, I found something. Something, you figure out what it is. Go home and check everything you own and see if you're missing something. If that's the case, you need more time. You need to be fair. You need to give everybody at least 1 day back home to rummage through their belongings and see if anything's missing. Give him an extra day to check through his wardrobe and see, right? Apparently, when you announce, you're already divulging that information. Look, I found a robe, I found a baguette, right? And now the owner, all he needs to do is go back home, check his shirts. Okay, I have 15, now I only have 14. He runs back. It takes a second to figure that out. Shma mina. Rava says no. Truthfully, even if he does not go and describe what it is, he just says I found something, we still don't require him to add another day. Why? The same idea as before. We don't want to make it too hard, too difficult. So 7 days is reasonable enough, and that's it. Tana Rabbanim. How does he go about announcing through the 3 regalim? Regal Rishon, when it's the first Yom Tov, let's say his first Yom Tov is Sukkot, right? He gets up and says, Rabbi Yisai, I found something, right? And this is my first Yom Tov, the first of 3. Regal Rishon, I'm a Regal Rishon. This way, when a fellow returns home and notices, that item missing, he doesn't have to feel the need to rush back because he knows that he'll meet him at the next Yom Tov because this is only the first of 3, right? Regal Sheni, same thing with the second Yom Tov. Are you a Regal Sheni? Regal Shlishi, but if it's his first, third, and final Yom Tov, he doesn't give a number. I'm a Regal Stam, he says, look, this is it. I found something. He doesn't explain, doesn't give any numbers. Why? Vamai, Lema Regal Shlishi. Let him say, this is the third. So that if in fact you discover your item missing, quickly rush back because this is your last and final chance. We don't want to give numbers because numbers sometimes are confusing. He'll say 3, the fellow will think he heard 2, and he'll delay. So just leave it without a number. Now he's clear that this is the third Yom Tov because it was without a number. Well, if that's the case, a person will mix up numbers, so when it's number 2, right, if you say number 2, he might hear number 1 and get confused. So don't say number 2 either. Well, there's no loss there because even if he may think that the fellow said number 1, but in any case, the guy's coming back. The loser is anyways coming back to next Yom Tov. And the finder will still be there. Because it was really number 2. He'll come back the third time and I'll answer it again. So in any case, there's no loss. So the first and second Yom Tov you do say 1 and 2, but not the third time. In the early days, if a person finds an Aveda, right? You announce it for 3 regalim, plus 7 days. Right? This way, he travels 3 days, comes back 3 days, and the 7th day, he looks for the finder. That was the initial system. But once the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Hashem should help it be speedily rebuilt. Right? So nowadays, what do? We don't have any Beis HaMikdash, anywhere to announce the Aveda. Hiskinu the Chachamim Mesakin. Sheyu Ma'achrizim b'Batei Knesiyos, b'Batei Midrashos, right? You call it out in the shuls, right? In the Batei Midrashos, where the multitudes are found. Misharabah Anosim. Once the Anosim showed up, basically those who would take away the lost items. So we'll see in a minute. So Hiskinu, so they switched the system. Instead of publicizing it, you would sort of spread the word privately. You inform your relatives and your neighbors, your friends, and that's enough. What does that mean? What does that mean? The Anosim showed up. The Amri Avital Malka. They had a rule that when you find something, it goes to the authorities, it goes to the government. So if you announce it, you publicize it, there might be somebody listening and go inform on you, and therefore we refrain from publicizing it. We have a story, Rabbi Ami. Ashkach Udayna the Dimri. He found a bucket full of gold coins. Chazi Ahubar Nash. Some have a Girsa Ahubar Rema. This Roman fellow noticed him, and he saw that Rav Ami was a bit apprehensive, to come mercies. Amalei, so the guy tells him, "Don't worry about me. I'm not going to inform on you. I'm a good guy. Zil Shkala Nafshach, keep it. The lav Parsoya. And you think I'm from the Persians? The Amr Avital Malka will go inform and get you in trouble? No. Be rest assured that it's yours." Tanar Rabbanon, Evan Toyin Hayusab Yerushalayim. There was this stone called Evan Toyin, where you would claim your lost item. It seems from the Mishnah and Tanis that it was it was on a very high ground. It was big, tall boulder up on top, and that was the perfect place to make this lost and found center. Anybody lost an item, Nifin Lasham, he would avail himself to that location. And likewise, we call Mishim Moitzaved, and if a person finds an Aveda, he goes there, Zayimad Machriz, so the finder goes out and calls it out, and the loser provides identifying signs, and he gets back his lost item. And this is in reference to this stone, we learned the following passage in the Mishnah over there with Chonei Ma'agal, right? There was a big drought, and they asked the Tzaddik Chonei Ma'agal to daven, and he made that circle in the sand around himself, and he swore to Hashem that he's not going to leave until Hashem, answers the tefillah with rain. It started pouring, right? It started drizzling. Then he asked for more. Eventually, it was pouring, it was flooding, and everybody came to complain. And he said, "No. Once we daven, once there is a bracha, we don't stop. We don't ask to stop. And go and take a look. If that big stone all on top was washed away, until that happens, don't come and complain." Continues the Mishnah. Let's say the fellow who claims to have lost the item provides a description of the lost item, but doesn't give any identifying marks, any distinctive features. Don't give it to him. Now, a person who has a reputation of being dishonest, even if you provide simanim, keep it, hold on to it. Lo yitin l'shenemar. Pasuk says, "Adroish achicha oisai," which means "Achetidroish es achicha." Go figure out. Im ramayu, imeni ramay. Go see if this fellow is an honest fellow or not. If he's a ramay, leave him alone. Itmar, Rabbi Yehuda Amar, avid tamachris. Okay, so this actually ties in to the earlier discussion. How do we call out the Aveda? Do we just say Aveda? Or do we describe it? Rabbi Yehuda says Aveda. Rav Nachman Amar Glima Machris. You actually describe the item itself. I found, a black computer. I found, a red shirt. Why? Rabbi Yehuda Amar, he says Aveda Machris. All you do is say I found something. And let the fellow figure out what it is and what it looks like. Why? The Amar's Glima Machris. Because if you're going to compel him to actually describe what he lost in public, it might activate the Ramoim, the dishonest people. Chashinan l'Rama. You see, what happened was that this Rama may have overheard his neighbor complaining about his lost shirt, right? And this Rama knows exactly what it looks like. He's seen him wearing it, many times, right? So now when he hears this fellow announcing, I found a shirt, he goes running and says, well, I had a shirt with 6 buttons, I had this tag, and he takes it. So to avoid that, we don't actually publicize the description of the item found. We don't identify it. This way the Ramai won't get wind of this thing. Hopefully he won't, pay attention, and he won't come and interfere. Rav Nachman Amar Glima Machrus. Rav Nachman says, no, better describe the item when you call it out. We're not concerned about it. Because otherwise, there's no end. I mean, even if you leave it blank, I found an item, the Rami can still come and say, well, because he knows that his neighbor lost a red shirt, he might come and say, well, by any chance, red shirt, 3 buttons, 2 tags, right? So there's no end if you're going to be concerned about a Rami. So better be machris the glima, which gives the owner, I guess, a better chance of tuning in and finding and coming forth. Let's go back to the Mishnah and try to figure out the Mishnah based on this machlekes. Tanan, Omar Sa'aveda, V'lo Omar Simoneho, Simoneh lo yitan, Harizil yitan lo. Right? The fellow comes forth, describes the Aveda, but doesn't give him the Simonim, don't give it to him. Now, Iyam especially Mavita Machriz. So, this all works very well if the finder is just giving a general, announcement. I found an Aveda, right? Without describing the item. So then we understand the Chiddush of the Mishnah. The point of the Mishnah is like this. Even if the alleged loser comes forth and says, an item you said you found, yeah? How about a red shirt? Right? So even though he provided that basic description, but ki loy amar simonin loy madrin, unless he actually provides specific identifying marks, doesn't get it. That's the point of the Mishnah. So even though he did provide some information, but it's incomplete. He doesn't get it. However, Eloi Amris Kliba Machris. But if the point is to announce the actual item, I found a shirt, so what's the point of the Mishnah now? Omar Ihu Glima. The finder already called out shirt. V'Omar Ihu Glima. And the fellow who's claiming to be the owner is providing the same information. Well, oh yeah, it was a shirt. I mean, what's the point of discussing that? Of course he doesn't get it. Is there any point in saying that unless he provides specific markings, he's not going to get it back? I mean, to say that it was a shirt, you already know that. The guy said it was a shirt. Omar Safar, no. We can still learn that you're meant to call out, I found a shirt. And the Mishnah means like this. Omar Iu Glima. The finder described it as a shirt. V'Omar Iu Simonin. And the fellow who came forward did provide some simanim, a red shirt, right, with 3 buttons. That's what the Mishnah means. So why is it incomplete? Why doesn't he get it back? What does the Mishnah mean? He didn't give simanim. It means like this. He didn't give solid simanim, specific simanim, unique simanim. Lo yomar simanim muvhoken dida. He gave general, he provides some general, features, but nothing specific enough to denote ownership. That's what the Mishnah means. Now that's by ordinary person. Simanan is enough. But a Ramai, a fellow who is known to be a dishonest person, of a Ramai, don't give it back. In the good old days, a person lost something, all he does is provide simanan and gets it back. Once we experienced an increase in the Ramayan population. His skinu, they established a new system. You have to first establish your credentials. You have to bring character witnesses that you're an honest man. A person comes forth, right? A person provides siman. First, we say, look, prove that you're an honest man. Bring edim, character witnesses, and then we'll deal with you. As per the following story, Gihad, the Avud Rav Papa, involving Rav Papa's father, Irchas Lechamra, he lost a donkey. Somebody found it. So they came to Rabbi Yehuda. Amalei, so he told the father of Papa, before we deal with you, you have to establish yourself as an honest man. Zil Aisi Sadi, the Lav Ramay Atvatel. First bring Edom, that you're not a Ramay. Then you can get the item. Okay, so he complied. Azal Aisi Sadi, so he brought to Edom. And the Rav turned to them and started asking them, Amalu Yadisun Be, the Ramay, who do you know that whether he's a Ramay? Amalei, so they thought that he asked them, do you know him to be not a Ramay, right? So they said, yeah, Amalei, yeah, he is. Amar lahu, so the person that brought the Edom, the fellow who lost the Edom, says to the Edom, what are you talking about? Ano, Ramo, Ano? I'm a dishonest man? I'm a crook? What do you mean? Amalei says, no, that's not what he meant. Sorry, we misspoke. Anan lav Ramayat Kamri. We meant to say that you're not a crook. That's what we meant to say. We thought that's what he was asking. Do you know him as being not a crook? And they said, yeah. Amar Rabbi Bar Huna. So the question is, now it gets complicated because the halacha is Edom cannot retract. Once they've provided testimony, it's called Kivan Shehigit. Once you've provided Edus, you can no longer retract. So here, technically speaking, they had really testified that he was a crook. They didn't mean to say that, but that's what they said. So Amar Rav Huna, don't worry about it. Mistabra, it's logical to say that in this case, it's not considered a retraction, because that's really what they meant initially. Why else would he be bringing these Edom? I mean, you think he's coming to bring Edom to testify that he's a crook? Of course not. We assume a person is not going to bring Edom to his detriment, to put him in bad light. So all along they were trying to vouch for him, and that's what they meant. Says the Mishnah, the question now is, how long do we have to hold on to a lost item? I mean, you found something, you didn't find the owner, right? So it's a chicken. How long do I have to hold on to the chicken? I mean, so it depends. If it's a productive type of item, it can produce, it can work, it can be rented out, whatever. And it also eats, meaning there are expenses involved. So it balances out. Right? So the item should produce, right? And consume at the same time. So therefore it's it balances itself out and it's self-sufficient. But something which is not self-supportive, it only involves expenses, it doesn't really produce anything, you sell it, that's it. The pasuk says, return it to him, meaning pay good attention. That all your actions and activities and your way of handling the Aveda should be beneficial to the owner. Pay attention. How to give it back to him in a way that benefits him, meaning if you're going to have to sell it all, if he's basically going to have a bill of expenses, at the end of the day, he's going to lose out. He's not going to get any much back, right? So there's no point in doing that. Rather, in this case, you just sell it, right? Set aside the money, and then when you find the owner, return it to him. So he gets the whole thing back. Now, what do you do with the money in the meantime? Madam, can you use it? Rabbi Tarfon, yeah, Chacham allowed you to use it, and now it comes with an added perk to the owner, because if you use it, you become a shayel, a borrower, who's fully responsible, even for accidents. So therefore, if the money goes missing, you're responsible. Rabbi Kiva, no, you can't use it. Therefore, if it gets lost, you're not responsible. Now, in a case where the animal is self-sufficient, it's a productive animal, tend to it, hold on to it until the owner comes back. But still, what's the limit? Forever? Amar Nachman Shmuel, there's a 12-month limit. Even a productive situation has its limits, 12 months. We find the same in the Brisa. When it's a productive type of thing, a cow, a donkey, you tend to them for 12 months, but past that, you make an honest appraisal, you sell it, and you put the money aside. However, young calves or young donkeys, which aren't really productive, so it's only expense and no gain. So there we have a 3-month deadline. Take care of them for 3 months, and that's it. Past that, again, you switch it for money and put the money aside. Likewise, we have these ducks or these male chickens, roosters. So again, these aren't necessarily productive beings. So here it's a shorter deadline. You take care of them for 30 days. And past which you just, switch them for money. Perhaps it's more difficult to take care of these last things, therefore it's a 30-day deadline. You should know that a tarnagoyles, a hen which lays eggs, that's a productive proposition. It's like those big animals, like the cow and the chamor, and you have that 12-month system there. We find the same in a brisa, tarnagoyles, right? That's meant to be taken care of for 12 months. Past which, however, which aren't productive, it's all loss and no gain. So here it's a shorter period. Now listen to this. Earlier we said 3 months. Now we go down to 30 days. Why? We're going to ask that soon. So 30 days, past which you just switch them for money. All these beings which are more expense than gain. It's a 3-day system, after which you sell them off, which is again another kasha, because earlier we said by the ducks and the chickens it's a month, and here we say 3 days. Here comes the kasha. On the one hand, kasha agola masyachin. Here we say agola masyachin are 3 months, here we say 30 days. We also have a kasha, avazim v'tarnagoyim. On the other brisa, avazim v'tarnagoyim, which says it's a month rather than 3 days. Answers the Gemara like this: agola masyachin like kasha. The first question we can answer like this: Ha deraya. When the brisa says it's 3 months, that's when he has grazing areas where they can just pasture and mind their own business. So it's not such a burdensome situation. So we give him 3 months. Ha de petuma. The brisa which says a month at the most is speaking where it's middle of the winter, or whatever. There is no grazing area today, so he's got to personally tend to it and feed it. And that's really an expensive proposition and burdensome. And therefore, a month is enough. Likewise, avazim v'tarnagoyim on the kasha, regarding the other question of the ducks and the chickens. Here we say a month, here we say 3 days. Why? Habarabari. Large ones are very expensive and costly. So there it's a 3-day deadline, habazurchi, but when they're small in size, they're not so costly, and therefore we'll give you a month. We learn from here, pay attention to help the owner. Let's say you found a herd of calves, right? These things are, burdensome and costly to look after. So don't end up with a situation where you're feeding one to the other ones. Basically, you're selling off one to provide for the others. Ultimately, it's going to diminish the whole thing, and therefore, there's no point. And likewise, you're going to sacrifice one donkey for the other ones. Avzala, one duck for the other one. Sell off some chickens to provide for the others. That's not a good system. Therefore, if you see it going in that direction, he meant to salvage the whole thing by selling it off, putting aside the money, keeping it safe and secure for the owner to get back. Okay, let's summarize today's daf. We spoke about a situation where you have conflicting claims between two people who lay claim to the item. So who gets it? The one with the better, more superior form of simonim, etc., he gets the item. How do you go about calling out the item? According to our mayor, you let the neighborhood crowd know. With Rabbi Yehuda, it's up in the Beis Hamikdash for 3 regalim at the Even HaToyim. Nowadays, it's done in the public arenas, in the Beis HaMedrash, in the Beis HaKnesses, and that's how you try to find the owner. But a shayla of how to announce the Aveda, is it just a generic description, or do you actually describe the item itself and wait for the simanim to be provided? We have the halacha of how to ascertain that he's not a ramai. And finally, it's all about looking out for the te'eles and benefit of the owner. So if it's a productive thing, you just hold on to it. And Rashi says the reason is because a person prefers getting back his animals, which he's become familiar with, which he's already trained. So therefore, try to hold on to it as long as possible. But otherwise, if it's a costly proposition, sell it off, hold on to the money, and wait for the owner to come back. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha Rabbah.